Dropbox can activate a new user in 60 seconds because everyone understands file storage. But if you're building the next Webflow or Notion or Clay, your users are probably fumbling because they lack the context to see your value. You don't have a UX problem, you have a comprehension problem. When you're creating an entirely new category, your customers, they're not comparing you to your next competitor. They are encountering an entirely new way of thinking. So this requires a learning curve before value can even be recognized. Today, we're breaking down the AHA sequence playbook, a framework that Webflow used to turn a very steep learning curve into a $4 billion valuation. Step one is to map the comprehension gap. Most growth playbooks assume the user already understands the problem that you're solving. But in an emerging category, that groundwork doesn't exist yet. You have to map the comprehension gap, which is the distance between what the user knows and what they must grasp before your product will actually click for them. So, how they did it. The Webflow team realized that the traditional funnel analytics couldn't capture where customer or prospect understanding was breaking down. So they actually ran 2-week user diary studies, which are basically screen reportings with think out loud narration. And they discovered that their customers weren't getting stuck because of a UX bug. They were getting stuck because the CSS box model was a totally foreign concept to them. They weren't failing to find the right button to click. They were failing to find the logic. Why it works. Confusion isn't just a UX problem. By identifying the conceptual barrier, you stop optimizing your funnel for clicks and start optimizing for light bulb moments. How you do it. Make the list of concepts that your customer needs to understand before they can really value your product. Then look at your onboarding. Are you teaching those concepts, or are you just hoping they figure them out on their own? That's the gap that we're measuring here. Step two is sequence the moments. If your product is complex, there is no single aha moment that we're optimizing for. You can't rush the destination if comprehension is still a bottleneck. So instead, you have to orchestrate a sequence of smaller realizations that build on each other. How they did it. Webflow's onboarding checklist has 8 items, and they explain the purpose of each one before you get started. Crucially, they tailor the sequence to the user's background knowledge and path. Someone starting with a blank site needs a preview of everything that's possible first. A user starting from a template can already see what is possible, and they need to experience the ease of modifying that design. So how it works. One-size-fits-all onboarding tends to fail when users arrive with different levels of education and understanding. By sequencing these small realizations, you guide your customer to the next step without overwhelming them. Even if full activation takes days or weeks, you deliver understanding in minute moments. How you do it. List those key concepts from step 1 and organize them by the order of operations. So which understanding enables the next? That is the AHA sequence being built out. You don't need to rush the core activation. You need to deliver the bite-sized learnings that make the outcome meaningful. Step 3 is clear the path. Customer patience is a valuable resource that you can either drain or replenish. And that patience is directly correlated to understanding. If the destination isn't worth it, they're not going to tolerate much friction. So how they did it. Think about setting up a new TV. You'll spend 90 minutes logging into all your apps with the tiny remote because you know that the reward is coming. But some new AI app, that gets 90 seconds. Webflow identified this death by 1,000 cuts. These are minor friction points that kill user experiences before comprehension can take hold. So to solve this, they didn't just simplify the UI, they built an entire Webflow university and created these off-ramps to give people context that they needed in order to come back and survive the friction. So why it works. Comprehension problems need education. Friction problems, those need simplification. If you confuse the two, you'll spend months redesigning button colors and layouts that weren't the problem in the first place. So how you do it. Look at your last 5 customers who dropped off. Did they get stuck because the experience was clunky? That's friction. Or was it because they didn't understand the why behind what you're offering? That's comprehension. Treat education as a strategic growth asset, not some CS cost. Step 4 is bridge the sessions. Education takes time, and time is the enemy of adoption. So builders in emerging categories have to be super intentional about what brings users back for their second or third learning session. How they did it. Clay actually handled this by forcing customers into a public Slack channel. So the users who might have just quietly quit instead saw their peers solving similar problems on the Slack channel, and that provided proof that the journey was probably well worth it. Notion does this by preloading workspaces with specific templates based on user goals. So the gap between I see what this template can do and I want to make it for myself creates the reason to keep coming back for more. Why it works. The best session bridges don't just send generic come back drip emails. They give a user a reason to return by connecting to something that they've already started, or by showing them the very next realization that they are so close to reaching. So how you do it. Walk through your customer's first week with your product or service. After that first demo or sign up, what specific reason do they have to return tomorrow or the next day or the day after? Is it a peer community, a pre-built template, a milestone they're about to hit? Webflow's product is a interesting example because it can take weeks or months to master. There's no instant activation, and that complexity could have killed them. Instead, they built a billion-dollar company by treating education as a core product experience. So your users are out there. They just don't understand why they need you yet. And it's not your fault or their fault, but it's your opportunity. So map the gap, sequence the moments, and build your bridges. Hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to keep getting playbooks and frameworks from other leaders building in emerging categories. I'll see you next week.